We have come to our last session, and I got to tell you, we saved a good one, because we are going to be joined by Renee Hirschbols, the Director of Consumer Engagement at Adidas, or probably pronounced more properly, Adidas. But I don't want to steal any more of his thunder, so please join me in welcoming Renee Hirschbols.
Hello, everyone. I guess I'm the last one. You made it all the way. I'm honestly surprised how many people are still here, so thanks for showing up. Big shout out to all the wonderful presenters we've seen so far. I'm very blessed to be here and represent Adidas, or Adidas, or however you want to pronounce it. I'm okay with it. So huge kudos to everyone, and also for you to still be here. We have one more presentation left. We are going to get through that. I don't have a lot of slides, and I tried to make it as fun as I can, I promise. So let's get into it. Quick intro, myself. My name's Renee. My pronouns are he, him. I get the pleasure of heading up our consumer engagement team within North America. You probably know we're a German organization, so we have a global team that makes all tech stack decisions, etc., from a global perspective. But we are really responsible for the execution and market. So we are the ones that are closest to our consumer and really trying to establish that one-to-one relationship with our consumer. What you need to know about me, first and foremost, I'm a sports fan. I love sports. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot considering that. And there's a lot of fun stuff coming up this summer. So if you're bored and you don't know what to do, the Copa America is coming up here in the US, which is exciting. We have the Euros in soccer as well at the same time. We have the Olympics. I don't know if you've heard, but women's basketball is pretty cool right now, so definitely catch some of those games. And with that, I will definitely stay on that theme, so you will hear a lot of sports metaphors, and I do not apologize for that. So let's go into the agenda. I really wanted to make sure that you understand we are working similar way that our sports team would operate. Like, we look at our performance and we try to improve every single day. We're trying to be the best version of the brand that we know we can be. So how I wanted to break this down is really a concept from off-season through preseason, mid-season, into the playoffs. We really want to make sure that we have the best result. We know that everything is in our control, but we can control what we can control, and we can make the best out of it with that approach. So everything starts in the off-season. Some of the sports are getting into the off-season now, even though there's still like playoffs going on in the NBA and NHL. I'm sorry, there's no New York team in any of those, so apologies for the diehard New York fans here. But the off-season for us is really to identify where are we, what is working, what is not working. We really want to understand what are we doing and what do we need to do better in order to achieve better results, because we know there's always more opportunity. We can always go for the next big thing. So a little bit of context on how we operate. As part of the North American team, we're heading up 2 markets. It's a little bit confusing because technically Mexico is North American, but if you want to talk about Mexico, you can talk to my lovely coworker Natalie, who is here from a Latin American team. From a regional and language perspective, this is handled there. We are managing Canada and the US. So 2 languages, 2 markets, and also 2 channels. We're also responsible for retail traffic driving activities, and that brings a lot of complexity, which leads to this beautiful marketing calendar that you see up here that is really determined by all of those factors, everything coming together, and we're trying to find a spot for all of that. That's the status quo. That's the business as usual as we're operating right now. You see a lot of beautiful colors that all mean different things because we have 2 different apps, the Confirmed app, the Adidas app. Please go and download them afterwards. Thank you. And purchase a lot of product, obviously. But what we're working on right now is really defined by product launches and promotions. This is what's driving our calendar. We're not really consumer focused when it comes to that. We have a product launch, and we're supporting them with all activities that we have, all of the tools that we have available. That's currently how we're working. Our personalization approach is really through segmentation. So if we have a soccer email, we know you're a soccer consumer, and we're trying to really make sure that that consumer is receiving the soccer content versus a running campaign that might go live at the same time. That should go to a running consumer. So this is really how we're operating that way. And that also, one kind of crazy number, at least to me that's a little bit crazy, we have around 1,000 campaigns each year. That's more than 3 per day. That's pretty crazy. So this is really how we're operating and how we need to make sure that we use segmentation to not send every consumer too many emails. And then lastly, through that high volume that we're seeing here, we do see a decline in engagement. You all are email marketers, or at least adjacent. You know the more emails you're sending, the more natural you have a drop in your engagement. So we're really looking into how can we counteract that. What comes with that as well is some type of repetitiveness. We know we need to produce a lot of content, so a lot of content looks very similar from a template perspective, which you see here. 3 very classy and premium executions, but they all tend to look very, very similar. So that is where we add. That is the off-season. Now that we understand what is going on, we want to go into preseason. Preseason is really, you're adding new players to the roster. You're adding a new playbook. You really look at what is going to drive your success in this upcoming season. That's kind of where we've been about like 9 months ago when we started our collaboration with Movable Inc. Very exciting time because it shows you all the opportunities that you can go after. Comes with the slight downside that you need to prioritize all of those opportunities. So for the preseason, our main ambition, yes, in the end we want to drive revenue, but we want to understand how we want to drive revenue. We want to drive revenue through a best-in-class consumer experience. We want to reduce the effort that is needed to do that. We know personalization at scale takes a lot of effort, so we want to make sure that that effort is kept down at a minimum. And we want to define the best practices per channel. For each individual channel that I mentioned earlier, our consumers are not the same. If you're a retail consumer in New York, it's a very, very different consumer than an online consumer in Ohio. So our principles within that, we want to fail forward. For me, this is really, really important. We want to try things. If it's working, great. If it's not, let's move on. This is really something that is empowered and really welcome in our company as a key principle. We want to be honest. If something's not working, let's talk about it. That's also what makes the partnership with Movable Inc. so special. We are having a lot of very candid discussions, I would say, if things are not working, because that's the only way how we can find out what is working and how we can make it happen. And then the last one, be quick. It is such a quick turn environment that we're in, email marketing, but also our industry, the consumer. You're competing for so much attention. So you really need to be quick and get something out to market. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to create that learning. It has to make an impact to your consumers. Now, let's jump into a little overview of what we added to our playbook. So those are all new tactics that we haven't had access to before that are now really, really important to have them in our arsenal. So you get a little sneak peek into our super secret playbook that obviously you wouldn't get access to anywhere else. The first one, we call it Sneakers of the Week. This is really our new arrivals program that enables us to show our consumers the latest and greatest of our products. This is something that usually would take a creative team probably between like 2 to 3 hours every time you send that. We're sending this around 25 times a year. So that's a lot of savings that you have on the creative side that you don't have to have a highly revenue-driving program. So very excited about this one. The next one is a combination of what we're doing here. We're using a product API and directly pull product from our website to support the main stories that we're having. Our global team especially is really great at creating those beautiful stories, beautiful hero images that are supposed to tell you in a very quick shot of what is it that you should be interested in. What we've realized over the past few years is the more product integration you actually have, the more products you're showing, the better it performs. If you show product, if you make people aware of what they're actually buying, they're clicking through to it. If they have no idea what they're buying, they will just opt out of your program potentially altogether. So what we're doing here is reusing API integrations to optimize content that we're getting handed over from the global team on a locally relevant level. Next one, surprise, Movable Inc. It is a countdown timer. I don't think I need to speak too much about it. It is driving a lot of revenue. Urgency helps. We try to use it sparingly because we don't want to overwhelm our consumers, but it's clearly a winner for us. No surprise here. Next one for us, I talked about the retail integration. We do have a very, very strong retail presence in the US. We have about 150 stores. 30 of them are concept stores, best-in-class stores, and then around 120 outlet stores. And this is giving you an easy way. When we send you a retail email, you don't need to click through. You don't need to work through a store finder. We know where you're at, so we're going to show you where's the next store and what the opening hours are, and make it really, really easy for you from that email to just find where you need to go. Okay, this was a lot. We have even more than that, but I was only given 20 minutes, so if you have any other questions, you can ask me about that later. But this, for the preseason, is really the overview of what we achieved with that. As mentioned, we have amazing savings in production time and go-to-market time. It is way more efficient, and we get content out in a way better way to our consumers. We are seeing increased engagement and conversion. This is what we're working towards. This is really what we want to see, so we're excited that we're seeing first results that are going into that direction. And then overall, who doesn't like more money? That's kind of what we're getting paid for, right? So increased revenue per message is certainly a key element here as well. But now, mid-season. You know, when you get into the time frame where you're like, we might be a playoff team. Can we go for a deep run? I don't know. Probably not enough. We really understand that what brought us here so far is not the number one. Like, we're not there yet. So what is it that we can do in order to step up our game and be even better than that? So what we do here, we cleverly named it as we take things personal, personalization. We want to make sure that we, at scale, get the right message to the right consumer. So what we're doing here, when we have multiple iterations of creative, we really want to make sure that we show you the right message. This is an example of our Father's Day campaign. We know Father's Day is hard to do as a marketer because there's so many different options. There's so many dads out there, young dads, old dads, sporty dads, dads that are not as sporty or not anymore. But with all of that, we have a lot of information based on what we have shopped in the past, so we can give you different creative interpretations. And we can also use creative that was created for other channels to really leverage in our channel as well. Next one, we're here using all of the API integrations we have. We have a Bazaar Voice integration for ratings and reviews. We have the pricing, the product information, the hero shots. We have the product names. We have direct links to our products. And with personalization, we can actually make sure that this is not just random product that we define, similar to what we do with the new arrivals email. We can actually make it based on your behavior. If you abandoned carted a product, we can show you that product, and we know that's going to perform. So we're using trigger elements in our badge program, which is really exciting. Next one is behavioral data. This is really different interpretations of what we can do with abandoned cart product. We're testing different things, so there's no results there just yet. But we can have direct links that are working across all of our environments. So that abandoned cart banner, for example, that you see at the top, if you are an app customer, it's going to take you to your cart in app that is completely synced with your .com experience. If you're a .com consumer, you land there. So depending on what device you are and the position that you are in, you will land on the right destination. What are we seeing with this is obviously an increased level of personalization. This is why we're doing this. We know this is going to perform, so this is why we're doing it, and we really want to stay course in that direction. We are also seeing a really nice side effect that with that approach, we don't have to be as promotional. We don't have to tell everyone, hey, you get 20% off on this Memorial Day activation. We can just make sure that we get the right product to the right consumer when we know they're going to convert on full price, instead of selling them on sale product where we are not making as much money off. And then the last one, I briefly mentioned that, we have so much content that's being produced for so many different areas of the business. With that, we can really use that content in an efficient way to drive those personalized experiences. But what if? What if this is still not enough? What if you're the Dallas Mavericks and you're like, I don't think that's gonna do it? It's a pretty bad situation to be in. You're so close to the top, but it might not be everything. So you have options. What if you throw it all overboard and you completely change your approach? Because what we've talked about so far is making what you're already doing better, which is great, don't get me wrong. But the next step is really win or go home. We really want to win. That's why we're here. So rethinking what you're doing is the next step for us. And this is where DaVinci for us comes into play. I will not tell you any amazing results because we're about 5 weeks away from running our pilot, but we're very excited about it because of the potential. What we're trying to do here, and if anyone from Movable Inc. is selling you using that term, I branded this, just want to say that. Jack Madsen, I'm looking at you. we want to go from a marketing calendar to a consumer calendar. We really want to make sure that the calendar and when you're receiving an email is driven by the consumer and your behavior instead of our product launches. We want to have a high engagement for the full file. We as Adidas, I said, we're not sending full file emails, basically ever, other than maybe Black Friday. We are super segmented, which comes at a really high effort, but it means that we are searching for audiences for our content. And honestly, we're pretty good about it, but we're definitely not as good as an AI can be. Like, that's where scale comes in. That's where direct connection to data comes in. So this is where this is really important. Next one, getting more value and insights from your creative. A lot of what we're doing here is going to be revenue driving, and I want to see additional revenue. Again, super important. But what DaVinci is also offering is learnings from your creative. Right now, we're sending 1,000 emails a year. I can tell you if a single email performed well or not, but I don't really know why. We don't have something like a creative score right now. We don't know exactly why something is performing with our audience and why it's not. So getting those insights for me is one of the key things why we are going through all of the effort to set up a pilot together with the Movable team. And then the last one is just growing sales across the catalog. We know that there are opportunities that we're leaving on the table. Right now, because we don't identify you as a golf consumer, but you might be a dad that's shopping polo shirts, and our golf products are really, really good products if you play golf or not. Those are opportunities that right now we can't really identify because we don't know that fringe consumer, but moving forward, this is really something that DaVinci is hopefully going to unlock for us. Okay, big thank you. You made it through it all. Just want to say one thing. Again, if you have nothing to do, watch women's sports. Watch women's basketball. Please. Thank you so much.